One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
Greetings, this is Tai Brown and welcome to One Question. I'm here at the 2018 AFCA Convention and I'm joined by Coach Tim Teykl. Coach Teykl is currently the Director of High School Relations at the University of Houston. Greetings, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Wonderful to be here, buddy.
Now, Coach, you coached you spent 40 years as a football coach.
Yes, sir.
Spent some of those years as a college assistant.
Yes, sir.
And you were head coach most recently for 27 years at a school down in Texas, so you have a wealth of experience. And last year, you were brought on by University of Houston as the Director of High School Relations. And one of the things we hear a lot of people gripe about is the number of people being hired in college football programs. What do all these people do, right? Mm-hmm. And there are a few of them that I think are probably essential, the role you're playing being one. Can you tell us what the Director of High School Relations does? What were you hired to do?
Wonderful question and an exciting question to really answer, Ty. To be quite frank, the number one caveat that was presented to me by a number of folks was the wealth of knowledge that I was proposed to have had with 40 years experience as a coordinator, as a head coach, as an administrator at different levels. So you've seen it all from all ends of the spectrum. And I didn't realize that I had that much of a wealth of knowledge, to be quite frank. But since then, it's been redeemed and exponentially stamped by our athletic director, our head coach, and pretty much everyone in our athletic department, not just in football. Spend a lot of time with me, and I in turn enjoy spending a lot of time with them because so many of the bridges that I cross on a day-to-day basis, on a minute-to-minute basis, are things that I did do as a high school coach, as an AD, as an administrator, as an educator, and even as an assistant coach in both college and high school. So just that expertise, do you go this way, do you go that way in your decision making? Well, I did it this way and it didn't work. We need to back up and look at doing it these ways. So generically speaking, that's what I bring to the table for the position.
And then do you think that what you bring is similar to other people in the position? I mean, in terms of the liaison to high school coaches in the state or in the country.
That's second to none on my to-do list. Yes, sir. I know many other programs that responsibility has been absorbed by a recruiting department or an ops department, personnel department, or even just an assistant coach or a recruiting director. Whereas in Texas, I'm not saying it because I'm from Texas, but I've seen it from inside and out. Football's king, and you can't take Texas high school football for granted. You definitely can't take the lifeblood of your program, the high school coach, and what they bring to the table for a collegiate program like the University of Houston, which right now we're sitting in the fourth largest city in the country. So the population there is such that we have over 800 high schools within the 30-mile radius of our campus. Someone needs to intimately be involved with them on an everyday basis, be it my way as newsletter, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And you're talking about a guy that's in his 60s doing it. And from what I've learned in my short time there, the payback has been exponential. It's been totally exponential, and it's rewarding to see that because in turn it's enriching them about what University of Houston has, what we can get from them, what they can get from us, and it is a mutual. It's a mutual agreement.
Now, you coached in college,
yes, sir,
for many years,
yes, sir,
right? And this position, based on what you're saying and what I know about the position of Director of High School Relations, seems to be an essential position in a college football program. Tell me about how you guys did it back when you were a college football coach in the past.
Now that's a good question because it wasn't done. I laughingly say there were no football ops.
Right.
There were no academic advisors. We as the assistants assumed those roles. In fact, I'll use me as an example. I was over dormitories, I was over summer jobs, I was over textbooks, I was over the meal plan, and I was over the strength program. We didn't have a strength coach, and I didn't know any better, and I thought I had the best job since sliced bread was invented. And since then, with the onset of it being bigger and more intense, and the onset of social media, and I think the expectations of winning, sometimes it did get pushed out of proportion. These jobs became more, or these responsibilities and tasks became more prominent. And if there was any way an athletic department, an athletic director, or head coach could peel away some of those responsibilities and let that coach be a truer, do nothing but coach football, coach young men, coach people, coach kids, X and O, and get them and recruit, and take the other responsibilities away, that seemed to be a more efficient way of doing things in college football. And of course, what happens in Division One is going to, I still call it the 1AA Division Two, drips and triples down to that. And to be quite frank, I've seen this same phenomenon that's happened with me at the University of Houston take place in the high school ranks of 6A and 5A. You know, have recruiting coordinators on high school campuses. Oh, really? You have to, because you teach. I taught 4 classes of biology as a head coach. And that's not uncommon, but your coaches are not just school football coaches in Texas; they're school teachers, and so maybe you could go convince your AD or your head coach or your school board or your SOUP to maybe take 2 classes away and give that coach, an assistant coach, that responsibility of being the equipment manager or manage the fields or be the strength coach or be that recruiting coordinator, because there's such pressure now to promote your programs for the branding aspect and to get those kids every opportunity they can as scholarships. And so you only have 24 hours in a day. And I think that's where this phenomenon is. You only have 24 hours in a day. And we're all going to work. We're all going to work. It's what you can do with your time and be efficient with it, and that's, I believe, what I've done for the University of Houston per se.
And in terms of when you worked in college, which was in the 80s, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The high school relations part, that was just a natural part of the job of the football coach.
Yes, sir. Your high school coach, you divided up your areas as we did, at the places I was at, and it's different than it is now. I could go to the high school 7 times a week. 5 times a day, whereas now you have X number of bumps. So you had to be very precarious on how you did that. So you had that natural protocol, that system was already in place where you could do that. I use Coach Saban. I enjoy studying him, but he is a product of doing it that way back in the day, because he and I started at about the same time. And with that, when you lost that caliber, that ability to go out and do that on that basis, you better come up with some unique, and he's always coming up with unique ways outside the box of doing so. This position has become very prominent. It went from being, I don't know if it's very important, to I've now been exposed to a number of other major institutions in our great state of Texas, of sitting down with them and putting together their handbook or their protocol or their job description for that position that meets their needs, that aren't necessarily like what we need at the University of Houston. But in turn, with using the Mara aspect, I can in turn tweak what I need to do and bring to the table. Like I'll give you a grand example. I do a newsletter. I was asked maybe do a newsletter once a month. I do a newsletter twice a week. Twice a week. And it's gotten to the point, it's fun, but it's about information. And our society and our culture nowadays is nothing more than in giving as much information as possibly that can be given out and disseminated, yet we're not making it. You're so busy that it add, delete. They actually read it, and it's pretty good stuff, only because of the people I've come into contact over my 40 years.
And that's part 1 of our interview with Coach Tim Teykl, Director of High School Relations at the University of Houston. And this is Tai Brown with one question, signing off.
And that's today's one question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.